Hey, I'm Lockie. Today I'm at Grit Athletic Performance, and in this video I'll be going through 4 exercises if you're struggling to get your quad muscle strength and size rebuilt after knee injury or surgery. So why are the quads important? Well, they're the main muscle that's involved in things like getting in and out of a chair, getting in and out of a car, going up and down stairs and walking. And if you're an athlete, it can be things like kicking a ball, running and jumping. So if the quads aren't firing on all cylinders, then you're going to have reduced function, potentially delayed recovery, and otherwise it's just going to impact your ability to do those activities day to day that are going to be important for you either in your everyday life or during sport if that's what you do. So why do the quads lose function after an injury? Well, due to the swelling, inflammation and other changes in the body's nervous system, all as a means of self-protection and assisting with recovery, the muscle function in the quads is inhibited. So basically the amount of signal going through the nerves to the muscle is reduced. And it's a way of the body trying to slow down how much you're using the joint while it recovers, but it's also something that we want to try and overcome with things like exercise and rehabilitation, because although the body's good at protecting us and it's a natural process, the body is going to overprotect. The body is going to try and do everything it can to help us. Unfortunately, sometimes this can get in the way. And what I mean by that is if we let that process continue on for any prolonged period of time without any sort of stimulation to try and overcome the secondary effects of that process, which can be wasting of the muscle, reduction in muscle strength, and reduced range of motion, for example, they're all things that are going to impair function long term, making rehabilitation harder later on and also slowing the time that it takes you to recover fully, because you'll have to overcome the secondary effects of that initial process where the muscle is reduced in function. Then you'll have to rebuild back to where you were, and then also to improve function in the long term, because ideally after any sort of injury or setback, we'd like you to be better off than where you were before the injury had happened, as a means of offsetting any future consequences, but also trying to reduce risk of further injuries in the future by building a more robust body. So very important that although this is a natural process, we start to put some things in place that are going to overcome those potential negative side effects if the process continues on for too long. So the best thing we can do is start to get the muscles, one, firing again, actually feeling like they can be active and overcoming that inhibition. 2, building up the size of the muscle, making sure that the muscle bulk it doesn't waste at the very least, but also then increases. And 3rd, that force output increases, because those are the things that are going to start to make those everyday movements feel normal again. Or if you're a sports person, they're the things that are going to form the basis of power, speed, all of those qualities that you need to get back to performing at your best. So no matter what side of the fence you sit on there, let's go through 4 exercises that can help.
So if you're in a situation where you can weight bear, one of the first ones you can do is this banded terminal knee extension. The idea being to extend the knee against the band and feel like your quad muscle is pulling your kneecap up your thigh. So really sort of feeling like when you extend the leg, there's a strong contraction in the thigh muscle. If moving through range is tricky, some people find that the movement sort of makes it harder to feel the muscle. Just finding a position that's comfortable enough and feeling the muscle active in something like a wall sit, or if you feel like your unaffected leg is taking over too much, a single leg wall sit. If you're able to weight bear on it, so this is if you're able to stand on it, you're not too early after surgery or injury. Doing things like these first 2 exercises, either through range or on the spot, can really help feel like the quad muscle is working more effectively. If you're not able to fully weight bear yet, it's more of a protected weight bearing or partial weight bearing guideline for you. What you can do is set up a foam roll or a rolled towel or something like a Swiss ball up against the wall, sit the leg in place so that you've got some resistance, and then you can push up to whatever percentage of weight bearing you're allowed to use. That could be 50%, 70%, depends on the guideline you've got at the time. If you're in the very early stages and you're not able to weight bear, or you're advised not to weight bear, or you're just having difficulty with getting the muscle to work in any of those other exercises, to early stage exercise or regressions are just to set the quads over a rolled towel, or to then progress to holding the knee in extension and then lift the leg up into the air. At the very end stage, after we've gone through those early progressions, we can get back to loading the muscle up, and things like a seated leg extension are a staple here. Again, you can do through range, but I've found particularly that holding the knee extension at whichever angle feels like it's working best for you can be a game changer for helping get the quad going again. Well, it was originally going to be 4 exercises. We've ended up going through 5, and with the variations on them, there's about 7 different or 8 different options there to help you progress with restoring quad function after knee injury or surgery. Overall, we've gone through why quad muscle function is important, both for everyday life and for sporting activities. We've then gone through why quad function can be affected after injury or surgery, and then we've gone through those exercise options. There's only 2 things left to go through. One of those is, what are the end goals? What are the criteria that you want to tick off to demonstrate that quad muscle function has returned to a satisfactory level? And the second one is the dosage and the progression. So what order do you go through the exercises in, typically, and how many sets, how many reps, how would you actually do them? So first off, I'll go through the criteria. Typically, you'd like to see restoration of quads muscle bulk, so measuring the circumference or the distance around the thigh at the biggest part of the quad, and making sure that that's within 90-95% and approaching symmetry again. So 100% equal, left versus right. And then you would also want to see limb symmetry on something like quad muscle testing. So you can use a rep max test, or you can use a dynamometer or other piece of equipment if you're seeing a specialist or a clinic that has that available to you. And you want the strength to be at least 90-95% of injured side versus non-injured side. And one that people miss, you also want to be as strong or better than before you had your injury, because there'd be nothing worse than coming back with equal strength because your uninjured side has detrained over the course of your rehabilitation. So hopefully you've been attending to that other side as well, but important to consider both legs, not just one. From there, you can launch into other testing such as squat, rep max testing. You can look at maximum repetition testing, single leg sit to stand. You can also look at hop testing. They're all things to go through at another time. Basic sort of criteria is you want the muscles to be equal in size, equal in strength, or at least 90-95% or better. Lastly, I'll leave you with a slide on the progressions and dosages for those exercises. But if you have any other questions about knee injuries, rehabilitation, or any other injuries for that matter, feel free to message me directly. You can visit my website here or leave a comment under this video and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.